What's going on, everybody? How you guys doing? Well, those of you that are off to Paul Bunyan in Lower City, sorry I couldn't be there this year. Fella can only take so many trips in a year, let's be honest, and I already did Bucket Stock, and so we're skipping Bunyan this year. The rest of the crew will be there. Bunyan or Buckin and Christine. My buddy Dan Barth will be there. The boys from Ripsaw. Shout out to all those folks. I usually go, friends, but this year we're staying at home. What are we doing today? Well, let's just have a look. It's it's been a rowdy week so far. I'm glad I wasn't scrambling, hauling water, and doing stuff trying to go to the States because, she would have been stressful. Check this out. So, I bought this fancy 1-ton, big heavy truck that has no drive shaft in it because, I'm waiting for parts. So this thing's, that's what I say to it right now. What good is it? That wheel bearing, remember how I loosened her back a little bit? She's got a little shim sham. Just a little bit, so I'll be pulling that axle back out and going, I'll re-torque it, back it off, and cinch it a little. So tightening it a little more was, it was the way. So anyways, this truck, I'm waiting. I got the drive shaft out. Got these things here. I have no idea how I'm going to put these in. I'm going to film it though. These things, I'm going to rupture a disc, let's be honest, but I'm going to drag them under there and get them on top of the diff somehow, and jack stands, and I'll figure it out. And I'm sure the bolts will be seized in the other ones, in these sleeves here. So that's going to be fun. But, I want to show you guys what happened this week, and then we're going to get to the tailgate. But first, enjoying my misery, friends. It's funny, but it's funny. It's just the way it goes here sometimes. So, here we are. Always breaking something, it seems. The old Load Trail trailer, have you guys ever had this happen? So, I'm a feller that, I take care of my stuff, but this thing spends 163% of its time bombing gravel roads at high speed with weight on it. And last weekend, Sunday night, I was like, I need to haul some water. There was an event in town, and the train was switching tracks, and there's 2 crossings in town, and I couldn't get from north side to south side. So anyways, I went to the standpipe, and the standpipe was broken, of course. So I was like, well, that's great. I got to go to another standpipe. But the only way to get there is to do 7-8 miles of bombed out farm roads. So I was like, well, we got her hooked up to the old Ferd. Let's just do her. So there I am, bang, 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 for 30 minutes, doing 20 mile an hour on the back roads in third gear, just enjoying life in the country. Then I pulled onto the highway, and I needed to come home to get some coinage so I could use the other standpipe. And I backed her in the driveway, and everything was fine. And then I walked by and went, geez, I'm missing a wheel, tire, hub, brakes. So I'm waiting for parts for this thing. Brakes look good though. I mean, I don't have to check them now. I guess, the clip's still on there, so the nut's still there, but I guess I shattered a wheel bearing, and, the bearings that I changed last year. So, the only way to repair one broken vehicle is to overload another, so I put the 420 gallon tank in the back of the old F-250 and proceeded to overload it. And she did it no problem. She didn't like it. 3,500 pounds is more the going rate on this thing. 4,000, and it's like, I'm not happy with you, but it does it. I was actually kind of laughing on the in the comments. Somebody was talking about I should buy a Toyota, or Toyota's the best truck. You know how guys are with trucks. It's kind of a funny thing to me. I had a Tundra. I think if I put this in the back of my Tundra, I would break it in half, I suspect. You know, the payload on this truck is like double what a Tundra is, easily, in real world. I've had a cord of wood, you know, I've had 4,000 pounds of wood in the back of this truck, and it, no problem, drove all the way home. So, anyhow, yeah, Toyota makes a good truck, but once you've had a truck like this, you can't go back. You can't. 3/4 tons and 1 tons are the bee's knees for country life. Anyways, what are we doing today? Well, I came up with this idea. I don't know if anybody's ever done it, but let's talk about, and I'll flip you guys around. Since we're at home, we're not going anywhere. We're waiting for parts. Everything's broken. Today's video, I get asked this all the time. Can I put XYZ piston or cylinder in a saw, and how do you know if it works? You don't usually. So today's video, let's start something crazy that may take a while or maybe easy. But I have an idea, and I wanna go step by step on video. This idea I have. I'm gonna grab all the parts I need. I'm gonna go through junk bin 1, 2, and 3. I have bins of parts behind where I sit, where I film inside. I'm going to grab a couple of those parts bins and some cylinders and pistons, and I'm going to talk to you guys about my idea. And again, this may be a horrible idea, or it may be the greatest thing since sliced bread. Hold on a second. So the question is, or my idea, this is the most run-of-the-mill saw. There's millions of these out there. Husqvarna 61. By the serial, this looks like it'd be, what, 1992? Could be wrong there, but I think that's what we got. Okay. Just a regular, everyday saw. Okay. This saw is 34 mil stroke by 48 millimeter bore. Okay. Now, before I hack up a 266, which I probably won't for this, those of you that have been on this channel forever know 266 is, well, probably my favorite saw. It was my first Husqvarna, was a 266. Oh no, maybe it was my second. I'm a liar, friends. My first Husqvarna was a 365 Special. I know, I have good taste or good luck. But my first vintage Husqvarna was a 266. It was a 1983 model. And I had that saw for a long time. You haven't seen that saw on the channel in a while because, well, I passed it on to a good man. A man that I thought could use that saw. And I wanted to give it to him. So, anyways, I don't have a 66 right now. And I'm kind of known for my 66 builds. So I've been going through my junk, and like, friends, I bought parts for these for years. I also had a good friend of the channel, TK, years ago. He sent me box after box of parts for these. And I hope you're doing well, TK. Always think of you when I'm going through the parts stash. Okay, this is one of the saws he sent me. This was a 61. I can't remember if it was complete, but this is where I get my saw parts from. Okay, so what are we doing? Hold on here. I'm going to get set up. Let's talk about my idea. It may be a silly idea or it may be a good one. Okay, so my idea is I want another 266 for my collection. Or not for my collection even, I just want one because I enjoy running those. They're the right size saw for me. Now, newcomers, you haven't seen this chassis. I have a whole playlist. It's called 200 series saw builds or something like that. I have a whole playlist of these saws, okay? And I played with these things for a long time and did many builds. I've done many 266 builds on this channel. I've had my woes with them, like this build. I can't remember. This is the first build I did for Buchan. And if you notice, it never even broke in. We were having issues with that saw. And the reason is I fed it. from the transfer. Okay. I like big transfers. Not everybody does. These ones aren't huge. I cut them into here. Okay. I cut them into so that they're case fed. Sometimes I make them really wide. Okay. So I've done a lot of different builds on these saws. Is there a clip in there? I don't think there is. Again, friends, I don't know if I'm going to use this. Oh, that's going to be seized, isn't it? Of course, I grab one that the wrist pin's not going to want to come out of. This thing's thoroughly blown up. So we don't have to be super... Whoa! This thing's angry. There you go. Just hammer on it with your palm. I'm in that kind of mood. Wow. And also, I'm starting to go into stage 3 panic mode because the mosquitoes are absolutely angry tonight. Again. There you go. Okay. That's what happens when your intake skirt gets thin. It starts doing this, and then you catch a port and you break it. Okay. Garbaggio. Okay, friends, so the question I get all the time, can I put this cylinder on this saw, etc., etc., etc.? I get asked that all the time. So what does a fellow want to look for when he's putting big cylinders on or wanting to change the cylinder? Now, you might ask, why would I change the cylinder in this saw? Well, I was talking to my buddy Scotty Wilson the other night. He's a really good builder out of Saskatchewan, northern Saskatchewan. Good Canadian boy like me. I'm sure I'll make my way there one of these days and go say hello. I'd like to shake the man's hand. He's built a few of these, and these saws are notoriously hard to port. Okay, you can port them, but they're hard to make them really good. And the reason why, and we were discussing this the other night, is... case capacity. Oh, that thing's thoroughly seized. Okay. A little stiff. Case capacity. These saws have a short stroke and a large case capacity. Okay. Now, usually what we do is we put one of these. This is one I ported, if you want to see. Okay. This is a 52 millimeter big bore off a 372. And if you look, it fits right on there. No problem. You could take your 61 and make it a 272, okay? Top cover fits, okay? So that would be, if you were entry level, bolt one of these on, you'll have a bigger saw. You'll go from 61 cc's, 62 cc's to 72 cc's, okay? The 266 is 50 mil. The 61 is 48 mil. The 272 is 52 mil, okay? But because these are short stroke, they don't displace a lot of air. And I've struggled with that over the years because I really like this chassis. I enjoy building them. They're good runners, and I have a plethora of parts, which means I can build these things all day long. So the question is, like, what fits on here? Well, this is a, what is this? This is a 395 top end. Okay, friends. First thing you want to look at is the screw holes. Do they line up? Well, this one is about a ½ an inch forward. The back ones line up, but the front one, they're about a ½ an inch forward of where they need to go. And also, this does not fit in the case. Okay, so this is a 56 millimeter bore. Well, if you put a 56 millimeter bore on this saw with the stroke it has, you would be 83, 84 cc's. That'd be impressive. But remember, okay, you can only grind this out. Like, look, she's thin there already. If you grind this too much, guess what? You're gonna have an air leak, okay? So what I do, and you can do whatever you want. Again, I always say this, I just do things how I do them. I'm never telling you guys, hey, do it this way. So what you want to do is, friends, is try, how about a 372 cylinder? This is 52 millimeters. Would this fit? Well, it's close. The screw holes would line up. Pretty close, friends. But here's the problem, the flywheel. So if I was going to even attempt this, I would want to take this flywheel off and machine it back. Okay. The negative of that would be weight. Okay. The saw might be a little snappier when you're done, but it may not have the torque. Okay, so we could hypothetically make that fit. But here's the other problem. This is fed directly from the case. This is not that kind of bottom end. Okay, so our transfers would end up here and here, and there'd be no way to seal it. Okay, so again, that's not going to work. Not with what we have available to us, right? So I grabbed another weirdo cylinder just to see. I'm starting to panic, friends. These mosquitoes are... How about a Dolmar cylinder? Well, let's line her up with the 272. Bolt pattern's close. Width of the base is way off. So again, could be close, but it's a little tight. Well, friends, the neighbors are harvesting. Sorry about the noise, but it is what it is. Okay, so the cylinder that I think I'm going to try and fit on here is a Husqvarna 288 XP. Now, notice the similarities. Okay, same, more or less, intake setup. They both take an intake block. Okay, 288, 272. Notice, bolt spacing is the same, okay? So, we can definitely work with that, can't we? Now notice, friends, the inner dimension or the outer dimension, this one's been turned down on my lathe. I did this quick and dirty for a mock-up. I was trying something, okay? Slightly different. Okay, so I think that this could be made to work. Now, the other thing you want to look at, here's one I cut the bottom completely off. Again, I was trying something. Okay. Let's look down through here, and indeed, again, we're going to have to modify the flywheel, but look at that. That bolts right in there. Look, I came up with this the other day. Top cover almost fits, okay? I bet you I'll have to stick this in my lathe and turn this top fin down, and it'll fit, okay? So, we have a cylinder we think will fit, check. We have a top cover that'll cover over it. The other thing is, friends, and I've done this before, you get a cylinder that fits, you get it to turn over, the timing numbers are fairly acceptable. But then you go, well, what am I going to do with the carburetor? Well, the 288 has very similar carburetor system as the 266, 272, 268, all of those saws. So, okay. So I think this is going to work. Now, this would give me 54 millimeter bore, which I will be at 77 cc's. The same size as a big bore 372. We like that size. So again, now I have another case half here. I don't know what this is. This is a 162 SE, an old one. Okay, let's take... Next thing you want to look at here, friends. So this is all the way at the bottom. Will it bottom out? Well, no, it won't. Okay. So realistically, when you look, it almost fits turned down. So I could turn the cylinder down a bit, and then I could go in here with my Dremel and grind this lip away. Just a hair. Grind this away, just a hair. And likely I could end up with a cylinder that drops on there. And all I would do is take the old measuring tools here. Okay, and I'll just get a rough estimate. 2.233 inches is the hole. And if we look at this cylinder here, okay, so we need to open it up about 100 thousandths. Okay, 1/10 of an inch. I'll show you 100 thousandths. Okay, we need to go about that far. But 100 thousandths, we're grinding about 50 thousandths off. Okay, I would then go around and mark it. Okay, so that's doable. We're gonna do all this, I think, on video. I think this is gonna work. Now, the next thing is crankshaft. I was thinking of pressing a shaft apart and putting the rod off of a 372 on here, giving the rod off of a 38 millimeter stroke. Now, I don't know how much longer this rod is. I would have to measure all this, and we will get into that. Geez, that combine's loud, isn't it, friends? The only time of the year that it's loud is this time of the year. Okay, I would have to measure this. If it's a longer connecting rod, and honestly, friends, I don't think it is. The stroke is just longer. But I was thinking of changing my rod ratio also. That does not increase my stroke, but we can go over all this when I take the saw apart. Okay, so 288 cylinder. Now here's the problem. I pulled out a 181 piston, and that would be this one. The problem is the 181 piston, or 281, or 288, okay? This piston has a larger wrist pin than our crankshaft, which means, and I'm gonna pull this wrist pin out. I'll put all these parts back together after. Okay, this has a, we'll switch this to millimeters. This has a 13 millimeter wrist pin, okay? The wrist pin out of this saw is 12 millimeters, okay? Now that's the biggest problem usually, is when you go a bigger piston out of a bigger saw, you usually end up with the wrong size wrist pin. Okay, now if you have a machine shop available to you, well, you know what you're going to do. You're going to take a 12 millimeter piston and bore it out. But the problem is, what do you do with the crankshaft? So I come up with an idea the other night. Again, we'll see if any of this works. Oh, the combine's going away, friends, so we'll be fine. The fellas are just fighting to get them crops off this year. So what I have here, and again, friends, all of these parts, except for the junk Farmer Tech stuff, all of these parts are from Wolf Creek Saw Shop. Okay? The 181 piston, the 272 piston, these are all supplied by my friend Ryan at Wolf Creek. If you guys like what we do here, please go over to Ryan. Go see Ryan at Wolf Creek, wolfcreeksawshop.com. Call him, email him, give him your business. He deserves it. He's a good fella, and he's been a big part of this channel pretty much since I started, friends. He's been my parts guy forever. Okay. So what I have here is, this is a 54 millimeter 66 Magnum. Okay. Now guess what, friends? Okay, so I now have 54 millimeters, and again, I'll measure it for you. 54 millimeters. Okay. And look, $12mm wrist pin. Okay, and again, here's a 272 piston. Okay, so I have the 66 Magnum wrist pin here. That does not fit. Okay, so you don't need the 66 Magnum wrist pin. We'll take the stock wrist pin for this saw. Okay, we'll grab our 66 Magnum piston. Now this is the other thing. Does the piston fit over the crankshaft? It does not. Okay, which means we're gonna have to go into here and we're gonna have to grind this until it's wide enough to fit over this crankshaft. Okay, so with this setup, I should have a 54mm bore, 34mm stroke, 77, almost 78 cc's, friends. Okay, now why would I do that? One thing, as you get, well, when you have a saw with big case capacity, which these suffer from, and they're short stroke, okay? If this had a 36mm stroke, it would be a 372, okay? A 72cc 372 will outcut a 72cc 272. And you might ask why. Yeah, it's the quad transfers, the more modern design, but a lot of it is, it's a better pump, okay? That long stroke pumps better. I was going to put these parts back in the Wolf Creek box here, in this nice Meteor box. Okay, so my idea is, and I was talking to Scotty Wilson for most of a day on and off on the WhatsApp, and we both had similar experiences with this chassis, and the experience is that this case is too big and you don't get enough pump with this piston. Well, maybe if we put this piston in there, that extra 2 mil should give us more pump. Okay, so this is my hypothesis, and really this looks like a super easy swap to do if you have the parts. Now, I have a brand new Meteor cylinder here, again from Wolf Creek. I may reach out to Ryan and get a highway cylinder. Okay, but realistically, I should be able to bolt this down. Here's the other thing, friends. Okay, here, and look. Just so there's no confusion, this fits. Other thing is, I forgot to mention this. This is important. Okay. Question is, how close are these? You got to look at where's your rings and the crown of your piston. This is the 272 piston. This is the 66 Magnum piston. Well, there's a couple of things I really, really like that I'm seeing already. Number one, the rings are almost in the same spot. Number two, my piston is shorter, not taller, which means I can machine the base of the cylinder without affecting the piston, okay? So we know we're not going to have squish issues once we cinch that piston down. Also, this skirt is way, way, way longer, okay, on both sides. So again, no problems with free porting on your exhaust side or having too short of a skirt, and then what happens is you end up with too much intake timing, because if the skirt's higher, you open sooner, okay? Which means I likely have a good chance of building a saw that will actually run, okay? The biggest problem when you start flipping these things around is the deck heights are different. You start putting the wrong cylinder on the wrong case, and what often ends up happening when you put it all together, your timing is way, way, way off, okay? Now, the other thing is that we need to keep in mind, Okay, measure your squish band to the bottom. Okay, you guys remember that 79 minus, okay, 79 minus 8. So we have 69 thousandths from the base to the squish band, or sorry, 69 millimeters, friend. Those of you more astute viewers, I'm horrible at math. So just play along with me. It was late. Horrible at math. Now, let's take our, well, this will be easy. Now, this one's been machined, but it'll give us a rough guesstimate. 62 millimeters. Okay? So, I don't know how much I took off of this, but I suspect, and I'm going to go get another cylinder to measure. I don't know. This thing's real thin. I did all kinds of wrong things to this. Remember that 69 millimeters. Let's go grab a fresh cylinder and see what we actually should have. Okay, I grabbed a Highway 272, so 69 millimeters. 72 from the squish band to here, and then we will measure the difference. 72 minus 9. So 72 minus 9 is, help me out here, friends, it's late. So 63 millimeters is what we are going to need. Correct? And we are at 69 here. Okay? So 6 millimeters. Oh, that would be real thin. 69 millimeters, and we're 63. Oh, that's going to be real thin, friends. So, what else could we do? Well, we could machine the case. I don't have a mill. I have a milling attachment, but I do not have a milling machine. We could technically do that. What are we going to do here, friends? Just a conundrum, eh? What are we going to do? What's the difference here? And we know we have some, and it's 1 millimeter difference in squish. So realistically, where were we at, friends? We're at 63 millimeters, 63. And this one again is, I'm just making sure. We might have to do horrible things to a cylinder to make this work. We're at 69. So, yeah. So, 100%, friends. 63 versus 69. Well, that's 6 millimeters. Well, that's a lot, friends. What is that in? That's almost a 1/4 inch difference. Wow. Look at that. Oh, that base would be paper thin. That's with no base gasket too, friends. What do you guys think? You guys think I should try this? I don't know if it's gonna work. That's close. That's real close. But either way, you guys get the idea. Just gonna measure this Farmer Tech doohickey. Because, you know, no, it's the same. Just making sure that everything's the same. Okay, friends. Well, that's where we're at. I'm trying to think of another saw that has a 54 millimeter piston bore with a 12 millimeter wrist pin. Otherwise, I need to find a saw that has a crank with the same rod or the same journal size with a 13 mil rod end. And if it's a longer stroke, so be it. But the idea is, friends, a longer rod will not make a longer stroke. It will change your rod ratio. Meaning, less angle when this thing's going around. At 90 degrees, a short rod is at an extreme angle. A long rod will be the same, if that makes sense. It'll be at less of an angle. You can Google rod ratio. It's a thing. Short ratio, more bottom end power and mid-range, more drivability. High rod ratio is for high revving engines. There's math you can do to figure that out. Well, I think we're going to call her a night. This will take some pondering. I don't know if I can make this work. I don't know. Unless I really try and hack up, like I might be able to make, I don't know, friends. I got to think about this. I have a lot of cylinders. I mean, I could literally, well, ruin this and make it work if I wanted to. I'm just trying to think, is there a way that I could cut this down without a machine shop? I also don't want to get into here because you're really limited, you know. Basically, I could machine down that lip there, which is still, well, who do I know with a milling machine? You locals out there, who do I know with a milling machine? One of you will tell me, hey, Joe up the road has one. That would get us 1.5 millimeters, which would help. It wouldn't make it awesome, but it would make it more awesome than less. Well, we got broken trailers, broken trucks. We got a Ford, a Chevy, and a Dodge all in the driveway. I know. I'm all over the place. And a broken trailer. Yeah. So we got to get that trailer fixed because hauling water with a 3/4 ton with a tank that size, and I have no tact. I'm like, yeah, just fill her up till she overflows. That's just how I am. But anyhow, for those of you that are traveling to Lower City, Ohio to Paul Bunyan, have a safe trip. I've done that trip a few times. It's good fun, and I'm sure I'll see you guys there next year. And if you've never been and you want to go, please do. Lower City, Ohio, Paul Bunyan show at the Guernsey County Fairgrounds. It's a great place. There's great people. And if you want to meet Buchan, he is there. And the show opens today, Friday. Okay, as you see this, that's the first day. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Guernsey County Fairgrounds, Lower City, Ohio. Also, the boys from Ripsaw are there. Go check them out. They're good fellas too. Okay, friends, the mosquitoes are eating me alive. Like, look, they're everywhere. Later, I'm out. I'm going to run to the house. Ugh, I hate mosquitoes. Later.